God is not white. Now, for white people, that might sound like a strange thing to say. It might even sound obvious. It's actually not. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm deeply skeptical, also a pastor. When you say that God is not white, we're not talking about the fact that God has or doesn't have skin, right? Except that Jesus did have skin and he was Middle Eastern, but we like to pretend he was white too. That's another video. When we say that God isn't white, we're talking about whiteness, about white supremacy culture, about the cultural values that preference white people and give white people's culture the sort of de facto preference. Now, this is not my area of scholarship, so don't let me be the one who educates you if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But there's things like a sense of urgency, like valuing urgency. There's a preference for the written over the oral or other kinds of things, like worshiping what is written. There is this idea of defensiveness. There's this idea that progress is things that are bigger, when things get bigger and when things get more. And the fear of open conflict. Like, all of these things are things that in a white dominant society are accepted as cultural values, accepted as just sort of default truths. And when I say God isn't white, I'm saying that God does not have those same preferences and biases. That's important because we often don't think critically about our culture, about what things ways we are acting, ways that we are thinking, preferences that we are having that are cultural versus, something else. And so when we engage with Christianity, when we engage with God, if we are doing so, assuming that God is white, assuming that God values all of those white things in the same way that me as a white person may value those things, we're just wrong. It's not just a little wrong. When we do that with God, with religion, we're putting this systematized racism in the mouth of God, in the mind of God, acting as if God was white. I mean, just think about all the things that the white evangelicals want to do in the comments of videos from people like me. This preference of the written word, that like the written word of the Bible is supreme over everything else. The urgency with which we approach the whole thing. It's all white. Look, you can't fix it in a 5-minute TikTok video, I get that, but you can call it out. You can name it. I can say that I have had this problem. I struggle deeply with thinking just by default God is white because I am white. I am a beneficiary of that white privilege and that white racist culture. And I'm gonna work and keep working to change that, to not be that, to not further that. And if this is new to you, go read some books about it.